Chapter 35, Section 2, continued. So we talked previously about how the Congress system was in place, trying to establish that balance of power, but there were groups that were against it. And so revolutions against the Congress system are going to begin in 1820. So the earliest will be in Spain and Portugal, Italy, Russia. They have some revolutions, but they all fail. Greece was inspired by these revolutions. And so in 1821, Greek nationalists are going to rebel against the Ottoman Empire. And for 8 years, they fight. And Greece wins their independence from the Ottoman Empire. And then in 1830, there's going to be another revolution in France. So, Louis XVIII had died. When he died, Charles X takes the throne. This was Louis XVIII's brother. Charles wants to bring back the old regime. He wants to get rid of that National Assembly in France. He wants to, he gets rid of the National Assembly. He wanted to, and he did it. He takes away voting rights from the middle class. Control of the schools. He gives back control of the schools to the Roman Catholic Church. And so middle class liberals and students and unemployed workers, they're going to rebel. And they overthrow the government of Charles, and Charles X actually has to flee France. This is going to be called the July Revolution. This was going to be a huge victory for the middle class. They wanted a constitutional monarchy. The working class wanted a republic, but the middle class wanted a constitutional monarchy. The throne will be given to Louis Philippe. This was Charles X's cousin. And under Louis Philippe, the number of people allowed to vote is going to increase. But still, even though it went up, only 3% of France could actually vote. Only the rich and stuff like that could obviously vote, but only the richest of the middle class could vote. The working class is upset because they wanted universal male suffrage. They wanted it so if you were an adult male, you could vote. Because of this July Revolution, you're going to start seeing revolutions start to break out in other countries as well. In 1831, Belgium won their independence from Holland, or the Netherlands, as it's commonly called now. You're also going to see the Poles rise up, but Russia defeats them. But they tried to win their independence. Some German and Italian states rise up as well, but they're also defeated. Britain goes a different route. Britain doesn't have a revolution that could be put down. They start moving for more of a gradual change. In 1832, in Britain, the government lowered the amount of land that you needed to own to vote. So the number of votes actually goes up by a half. New industrial towns have more representation in Parliament now. So there's going to start being more of a say for the middle class in Britain. And the working class also benefits from these changes as well. Labor unions will get the right to strike to protect their workers. So a different route being taken in Britain there, not just a big revolution, but slowly trying to make some changes. There's going to be another series of revolts, though, in 1848. governments all over Europe were being overthrown. And so let's start in France. Louis Philippe, he tried to be a citizen king. You know, he walked he walked through the streets with no servants. He dressed like the middle class. He was rich though, and his government served the rich. And some people were very unhappy. You know, industrial workers weren't happy. Middle class liberals weren't happy, and the economy was going to crap in France. You know, actually throughout Europe, there was a lot of unemployed. You know, add on to it that in 1845, 46, in those years the potato and wheat crop fails. And so literally they were running out of food in France, but also in other places in Europe too. In February of 1848, there's going to be riots in the street of Paris. And Louis Philippe flees. And you're going to have the declaration of the Second French Republic. And they're going to set up a temporary government until they can elect a new National Assembly. And one of the leaders of this Second French Republic is going to be Louis Blanc. Louis Blanc was a socialist. And he's going to help set up national workshops. Basically, these were factories run by the workers, paid for by the government, but run by the workers. Thousands get jobs. Problem is, you still had more people needing jobs. I mean, eventually it gets to the point where the French government was supporting 100,000 workers. That National Assembly will finally be elected in April. And one of the first things the National Assembly does is it's going to do away with those workshops. And workers are going to actually revolt for 3 days until the army finally puts down this revolt. 10,000 people died in this. They do get a constitution written. And they're going to elect a strong president, you know, and they're going to have universal male suffrage. All men will be able to elect a president. And the guy they're going to elect was Louis Napoleon Bonaparte. This was actually Napoleon's nephew. He had grown up in Switzerland and Germany and Italy. He wasn't allowed to be in France, so he couldn't grow up in France because in 1816 they had actually passed a law prohibiting any Bonapartes from living in France because of his uncle. But he gets elected president, and he believed he's going to inherit his uncle's destiny. And so in 1851, he gets rid of the Constitution. And then in 1852, the people vote him Emperor Napoleon III. And that Second French Republic that we were talking about is gone, and it's going to be renamed the Second French Empire. Napoleon III actually stayed on the throne until 1870. You're also going to see revolutions happen in other countries as well. Hungary, Italy, Germany, they try to have revolutions. They all fail. But the ideas are spreading, though. Universal male suffrage, all men can vote. That spread. You know, workers who felt cheated begin forming political parties. And you actually started seeing socialist parties in almost all European countries by this time.